I think that if you let Yuumi Zeri go through, though, you're going to hear a big groan throughout the crowd.
I mean, it all does depend on what Gen G's plan is here for the bottom side. So far, Neela is going to be the choice for Ruler. Not necessarily our premier Neela player, but we know that he has certainly been experimenting with it. Silas will be locked in as well here for Chovy. Expecting something like an Ari here to come through from T1.
In,
100%, yeah.
In R3. Otherwise, it's 100% going to get banned away. And gonna be honest, I don't know how good a Neela Singed lane is. I guess Singed gets more XP, which is nice. It's not the greatest in terms of actually assisting his teammate, but that has been the answer for Lance. The reason why we have seen Gen G just always leave open Yuumi.
And what's so interesting about this, too, is I think it plays towards Ruler's more multifaceted strengths. His laning has been amazing, but his late game has been amazing, even on picks like the Lucian. So we'll see the Renekton come through here in the first phase. But for Guma, he hasn't been able to...
Yeah, there it is.
And for Guma, he hasn't been able to say the same thing, right? He's had a bit of a weaker laning phase. His late game has been fine, but he often doesn't get there on even footing with his lane opponents against strong teams like Gen G. So this puts a lot of risk here in T1's composition. They have to have a smooth sail through that laning phase, and you can't take away the Singed. There's too many things to ban.
No, exactly right. And I think we need to update everyone, because if you've just come in, I'll just check out the LCK final, see how it's going. I've experienced a lot of League of Legends around the world. I expect what happens in drafts. I know exactly what's going on. You see Singed and you get very confused. So Lehens was a Singed one trick, basically, before he joined Griffin all those moons ago, and Elise as well, often in support or in top lane. Singed is just the Lehens special. He uses it into Yuumi, and he is 100% win rate on this champion so far throughout his career. So looking forward to seeing whether Gen G can keep that one the same way, or whether T1 have a plan into the Singed this time.
Well, we also see T1 realizing the same fake that Gen G did. This time around, no jungler has been picked. R for Wukong is a complete no-brainer here for Gen G with the Trundle ban. Very, very obvious that Peanut wants to pick that one up. And that leaves, again, the counter pick to Doran. Alternatively, as Gen G, because you already know what you're playing into with that Renekton, can also just pick up the Aatrox. I wonder if that's going to be the ban here, but it will be the Wukong instead, meaning that I'm expecting maybe a Sejuani pickup.
Yeah,
Sejuani can also be a sign of that.
Yep. Is Sejuani obviously going to be flexible too? You know, if you pick it here in R4, so you can, you know, move it into the jungle, and then if you want to have a hidden jungle pick that comes through once you see the rest of T1's draft, you could flex it, of course, towards the top side of the map. It also gives you really strong engage options here as Gen G, because, you know, Wukong is amazing because you essentially have a comp that wants to run in. It's a dive comp. And Sejuani still does it, a little bit more budget, a little bit less committal, but it gets set up for the Neela ult, gets set up for Singed to do a ton of damage, lock down that Zeri.
Well, we'll see whether it is going to work out here, as Morgana is going to be the choice. Ona likely the one piloting that one, although, you know, of course, Faker is no stranger to Morgana in the mid lane. There's the Fiora being considered, but this is blind, remember, for T1, moving towards the mid lane or top lane. Depending on where this is going. So, Renekton, of course, a flex into mid if you would like to put it there. Often is something that we've seen picked into Silas in the past.
So what you get here as T1 is you have two lanes with setup for Dark Binding. Gonna be the Gnar instead, and with that Gnar, I was expecting Faker to be like, I can play Jack Smith, that's no problem at all. With the Gnar, don't think that's happening. Zay is his best champion, I personally argue. And now with Gen G, you can just flex that Sejuani up towards top lane.
Yeah,
Make something here for Peanut.
I mean, you can even go Viego here in this draft. It feels strong. I mean, the ways that Gen G can operate this, you could also go Aatrox here. You could have gone Camille into the Gnar and say, you know, I'm going to just win this super hard. It's just Gen G going back to bread and butter. They don't really have to show anything here. In a normal scenario, Lehens playing Singed support or any other support, you're like, wow, you can only do this once in a best of 5. For Lehens, this is standard. This is normal. Chovy's playing Silas, Peanut's on Sejuani again. Gen G's like, cool, it's just an adaptation of our draft that we played last game into a different AD carry, but we have a little bit more engage power this time around. It's not the same long-term damage that we saw from them in game 1. It's all in, hard engage, blow up the Zeri.
But it is sort of the opposite of what Rush was talking about as far as what T1's draft had in game number 1 compared to this one. Now they have the Enchanter support. Now they have the range advantage, most importantly, and Gen G are the ones with all the onus on them on making these fights happen.
Gen G have no range. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's Singed, Silas, Sejuani, and Aatrox. The only range you have is Sejuani throwing an ultimate. So topside skirmishes need to be good. If you snowball with this comp as Gen G, you completely run them over. But you do have to snowball, because if not, I don't think you have what it takes to take down Zeri Yuumi later in the game.
We've also seen Damwon Kia pilot a very similar Morgana composition into this style of drafting we saw from Gen G. It went very poorly for them in the mid game, but they were able to, with a good binding, turn that one around. If you guys remember that series back from playoffs. Now, we'll see this time around if T1 can pull it off, because this feels like a draft that's going to be about Zeri lives, they win, Zeri die, they lose, and there's so much peel for her, but Guma will actually have to carry. He will actually have to perform here for them to tie up this series.
He has done it before. They did manage to, off the back of a lot of great play from Gumayusi against Damwon Kia, make it here to Konglung. That is one of the reasons why they managed to do so. It was to do with that Zeri. Let's do it. Let's get into game number 2 of the 2022 Summer Final. Gen G? Gen G fans? No?
Good old fan leader drama, you know? Who knows who starts it?
I didn't know. Are we even allowed to start commentating? I don't even know whether we're allowed to. I think we need to wait.
Yeah, I don't like this.
No, I'm very confused. However, I think T1 fans makes a lot of sense that they're the ones that get the fan cheer and not Gen G, because we want to make sure that we get as many games in this final as possible. And I believe that based on these drafts, we are going to 1-1. That is what I'm feeling straight out the gate. Gentlemen, do you share the sentiment or no?
I do like T1's draft better, but I think that this is an extremely volatile set of drafts, the two of them. It's all based on execution. It's so difficult to say one draft is better than the other because of how strong Gen G's draft is if executed perfectly, but also how strong T1's draft is against Gen G. And I think if T1 lose this game, we might have a 3-0 on our hands, because you got everything you wanted this time around. You have the right answers to Gen G's comp, but if you still lose here, Gen G still outdo you, out-execute you. I mean, how do you come back from that 0-2?
Well, Gen G 2-0. So let's talk about the rune setup that we have here, because there's actually a lot of interesting summoners and runes. First and foremost, Doran has gone for the Comet variation of Aatrox, which into a Gnar, I think actually does make a lot of sense. Gets you a ton more laning power. When we get the full rune setup, expect to see something like a Scorch there as well, just to really try and mitigate the pressure that the Gnar has. Chovy going for the first strike variation of Silas, so trying to both maximize his burst, and it's playing into a melee matchup, so I think you get a lot more value as Peanut.
Yeah, going in aggressively as Faker already down to 300 health. The permafrost will come in. There's the flash, but the follow's there, and Chovy gets his revenge, and this game he'll pick up first blood.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel that 2-0 confidence from
No, don't bet down.
There was no analysis whatsoever. Right. It was just 2-0.
So I think that when you consider also the fact that now this Silas, who did take first strike, as you were leading into, gets a first blood under his belt, 400 extra gold, pulls Faker out of lane, gets his teleport early. This could be a disaster for how this laning phase is going to go as the Silas gets stronger. And Chovy, he still holds on to his teleport here, can get a better back.
Yeah, getting an early kill and forcing the flash out of Faker. Very, very big. Also makes a possible early skirmish a lot less threatening when you don't have the point and click CC for the Renekton. As wondering as we see, the Peanut setup, because Peanut actually has been, as mentioned previously, really good about the way that he's been finding these early moments, finding these early ganks, and I haven't really talked about the end of the draft, but Sejuani, even into a Morgana, which in team fights can be very debilitating because of how slow the permafrost actually comes through and Glacial Prison lose a lot of power. When you're still in laning phase and Morgana's trying to just farm up, it's so incredibly strong. And with both the setup that you have, because you have 4 melees, everyone enables permafrost. So the reason why I have a lot of faith in Gen G is because I think T1's never going to be actually allowed to play this game. I have a tough time seeing it. Ruler also going for the cleanse, very good defensive option into things like bindings and all the point and click CC that's available for T1.
Yeah, no flash actually available here from Ruler, so definitely very committed to making sure that he can just stay in amongst the fight, understanding that positioning is key.
Exchanges,
gotta do it.
Exchanges like the ones we saw there with the early gank from Peanut, you know, are pretty predictable as, okay, owner.
Yeah, around the side here as he is going to spot Chovy. Chovy sees him. Let's see whether the Dark Binding will connect. Right now, Aatrox with control, and yeah, Chovy will be able to sidestep Dark Binding. Mind games complete, and won there by Chovy this time.
The way that this goes wrong for T1, I think, is falling too far behind too early, right? And we know how these two drafts interact in terms of the way there's a front line for this Zeri. This Ward will spot Peanut. Still could commit to the dive.
Not going to go for it this time, but Lehens, he's running real quick. Doesn't have Ghost or anything like that, but Gumayushi's going to Ghost himself. And so that means just by looking menacing, Len's going to be able to pick that one up. And this is what we were talking about, 4-0 right now on the Singed. Len's just pretty good at it.
Not again.
Going to look for a return gank here onto Faker. More Permafrost to come in, but they do just back away. Faker getting to relative safety, I guess, and also not knowing exactly where Owner was waiting.
Yeah, and I think that the way that like the draft works out here for T1, I think was so based on a hard pivot, right? A Faker saying I could play this Renekton as Peanut is not done.
Yep, he's coming back. Lehen's gonna throw down the Mega Adhesive. Faker's slicing, he's dicing, he's trying to get out, but Owner wasn't even allowed to Black Shield him. He couldn't get close enough, and Faker is going to be dead again.
And the point I'm trying to make here is just being illustrated repeatedly while I'm trying to make
interrupted, making your point by your point being made.
Yeah, exactly. You're playing into the Sylas melee here with the Sejuani. This is what you were saying earlier, Chronicler, about how strong this duo is together. And I think as Faker, ideally here, you'd want to play something with a little bit more lane pile, a little bit more control, but you're playing into the Sejuani, and the Morgana is a binding binary. Should she hit it? Does she not? That's your end result, whereas Sejuani, no flash on the Renekton, you can keep coming back for more. And as a result, Faker is finding himself falling further and further behind.
And a lot of this comes down just to how incredibly well Peanut is able to be ahead of all these plays. Because, like, turn it the other way around. If Chovy gets hit while he's not in the wave with a stun, he dies. Like, there's a Renekton stun, there's a binding, and you're gone. There is no counterplay, but because every single time that this happens, it's Gen G that is on the front foot, right? It's Gen G setting up the play. They have a man advantage, so what you're going to do. Lance, level 5, by the way. Thank you for that, Neela. Definitely a necessary part of the kit, as 2-0 on the Sylas is Chovy already, and this is a pick where if you can just coast until like level 11, you're perfectly happy.
They had the wraparound there too on the Singed. He avoided the control ward.
Well, speaking about wraparounds, there's the flash from Lehens. Ruler going to be diving forward. That is not the Glacial Prison you're looking for there, Peanut, but Ruler now does have that Apotheosis available. Gumayushi's going to go down, and now Carrier is a cat with a book, but no friends. And that's a double kill as Ruler. How many multi-kills has he got this series? We're not even like a bit of the way into game 2 yet.
And I was worried this was going to happen. I didn't quite expect it to like this pace. I was thinking it's going to be around a Herald fight, was going to be maybe around an early Dragon, but Gen G is absolutely decimating this early game.
It's crazy how much value Peanut has had across the map. He takes flash away from Faker early, grabs that kill, comes back for a second pass, gets the second kill, comes down here bottom side, helps set up for double. Ruler's grabbing plate gold. Solo, plus 160. I mean, this could not be a bigger lead for Gen G right now with a composition that is so snowbally. As he just hits this max range, flashes in, tosses him back. Guess who's here? Peanut, level 6, doesn't hit his ult. Doesn't matter, Guma has no way out. And it's because of Yuumi. Ah, he misses this as well on the wall. And with the Yuumi here, it's just a double.
Yeah, the Apotheosis actually pulling him out of the Jet Set Radio future. So a little bit of a shame there for Gumayushi.
Level 6, I mean, that's your experience advantage.
100%. So now, Gen G, it's all about just pushing this advantage ever further. Close to 2,000 gold, but that's pretty decent here at close to 9 minutes into the game, and Peanut is going to look to extend that even further by taking this Rift Herald.
Also see Doran going for the Eclipse build, so assuming it be to be Eclipse, Cyril does, Black Cleaver, as Lehens Only as Axe Flash, but even with Axe Flash, that cinch is terrifying, and we're seeing happening right in front of our eyes why no one is there to pick Yuumi against Gen G, and it feels like a lose-lose. You ban Yuumi, and you don't get it, or you pick it, and then it's doomed.
Yeah, and I just want to defend my prediction, right? Because we see Zeri Yumis so often, and they just win. This Zeri Yumi also has a Morgana as well. So it's like, how are you ever going to kill the Zeri in the late game? What I didn't realize, gentlemen, that obviously the smarter men, who are the analysts on this test, should have understood, is that sometimes you're just not allowed to play a late game. And that's exactly what you were talking about.
Look at the leads.
Oh dear. This is a bit dangerous, but yeah, you can see the gold is already so far in their favor. Okay, final chapter's going to come through. There's the flash out from Chovy. Faker is still very, very low. But T1 not going to be able to find that. They do get a lot of summoner spells, and by a lot I mean just Chovy's flash, but it's still very important.
Peanut is everywhere and Owner is nowhere. He has saved now Chovy after being 100% kill contribution in both the kills on Faker, the bottom kills as well. He is the brains of the operation. Peanut has been so good at this, and unfortunately Morgana, that is going to be a counter pick here, relies on smart pathing, and Owner just has not been able to keep up with Peanut this game. And as it snowballs away, obviously it gets harder and harder to keep up with the tempo.
Oh, no. Okay, they spot him. That's good. At the very least, but
I mean, you're potentially going to get dove. Morgana has to come over.
Yeah, has to cover, and this is what keeps you on the back foot. As Peanut now moving away, Faker, they have an inkling.
Yeah, there are a lot of pings. T1 know exactly what's going on, but can they stop it is going to be the question. Faker has his flash available, but there is the Everfrost to stun to come through. Faker still should be all right, but another chain is going to land. Dominance is going to come through, and now Gen G are just chasing after the Crocodile. They are bullying the T1 mid lane. A mega adhesive. Lance just says that's enough, and he books it out of there. And in the meantime, Shelly smacks down the turret.
I mean, you, as Owner here, you were pathing bottom because you saw the Sejuani. Zeus going to have to get over the wall here.
Will the chains connect?
Oh,
They barely even needed to, as Doran's just going to pick up that kill. Flashes over the wall. And that is going to be that, and Gen G are steamrolling this game.
Yeah, I mean, Peanut, he shows bottom. Owner has to come down. He's coming over the fence. Oh, God, this is just dug.
Oh, dear, they get the bad news. He's in the sky, gets flicked back. There's the Glacial Prison. The setup's beautiful. The binding doesn't connect. The ulti does come through, though, and there is a skate away here for Gumayusi, so he'll survive. But at what cost?
But who cares? Like, he has to use summoners, heal, exhaust, thrown away. Gen G gonna pick themselves up a second Drake. Blades are dropping. And as I said, I don't think we're ever getting to a point where Zeri Yuumi gets to do their thing.
Yeah. Well, I certainly don't think we are now. That is for sure. I mean, the fact of the matter is, look at where Owner is. He path bottom. Peanut leaves. He's on Krugs because he's like, all right, well, I don't know what's going on here. Faker has to path topside because he knows his jungler isn't here. So even having Flash isn't going to save him in this moment. Adhesive comes down, he's dead. And like, he's just been left alone, as is Zeus here. Again, Owner bottom side during this.
Yeah, we can see already they had to invest the final chapter. You can see picture in picture. But this is what happened to start off the troubles here for Zeus as he hits Minina. He's at half health, and Gen G have him exactly where they want him.
And Owner's just trying to hold wave mid because Faker's dead. Everybody's dead. There's no control whatsoever. This is a stomp.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in situations like this, these one-item spikes from Gen G are absolutely disgusting. Like early Eclipse. It's the reason why Doran is able to chunk Zeus the way he does. And Zeus, he's just desperately trying to create some pressure on the map because everywhere else is a pure disaster. One plate still alive on mid. I don't even want to talk about the bot lane because it's even more rough. And then the top lane is, as far as things go for T1, the best situation, but still very bad. It's another Infernal, and as Gen G, do you think T1's going to be able to contest the next two Drakes?
I don't know. Maybe the best news for T1 is that this game might be over before a soul is even a question mark.
Maybe it's Elder Flip. Maybe that's where we do it.
Well, perhaps. But Zeus is now going to take a lot of damage here from Doran. Offers a bit back, as you could see, as Peanut completes his Sunfire Cape.
This comp is so win more when it's ahead with the advantages Ruler has in terms of experience too, plus the items, has his early Immortal Shield Bow. And, like, you can't contest Drakes as T1. You can't actually make cross-map plays. You just have to hope for scaling. But as you're saying, I don't think that fight ever comes. I don't think those items ever come because Gen.G will take all the vision off. They will just keep pushing these waves in, take away the turrets, and then you can't even farm a Zeri freely.
Outside of Peanut, no one on Gen.G has a title. Well, Bruno does, but not the title he really wants.
A little bit more international.
Yeah. And that is such a mind-blowing thing. And I personally was expecting there to be at least some form of some form of pressure, seemingly, on Gen.G coming into a match where they're so clearly the favorite after the split that they've had. But in this game number 2, I'm not feeling any pressure. I think you're feeling fine. I think you're having a great time right now. And for T1, when the game is this boomed, it is so hard to play because any of your fights, you're going to be working with such a massive item disadvantage that you need to be like 3 people up if you want it to work, but you have no vision. Look at that jungle.
This is also the mental drain game. Like, this is the game where you lost game 1. It was pretty close until it wasn't, right? So we had those Zeri moments, but it was a fairly close game where we could have conversations about the state of things. Instead of watching Rift Herald spawn onto Gen.G, who have so much control, they just take it instantly. They're speedrunning this game. But you have to try to survive and bring something back. 6,000 gold down at 15 minutes in, going into a second game of the series. It's draining your mental this entire time. You're losing control of, like, can we beat them in any games? Like, we can't beat them on blue side. We had 2 blue side games in a row. Like, this is actually how teams get 3-0'd, especially with teams with young players. And, I mean, we're not trying to write the eulogy early, but it is really looking rough for T1 here.
I mean, I'm down to ride it for this game, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm not riding it for the series, but this game is looking all but over. It's a 6.5 thousand gold lead at not even 16 minutes yet into this game. We have 1 minute until Infernal Soul Point available for Gen.G. And yes, look, there is a Yuumi and a Zeri and a Morgana on the other side. Like, theoretically, if there's a way for T1 to somehow make it to 3 items on Zeri, maybe they can do it. But Doran's just flashing on top of Zeus here. Now Zeus able to offer a few boomerangs back, but still, summon a spell advantage actually for Zeus.
Zeus's movement is insane there. The fact that he doesn't die, well, he might still because of the hands, but the fact that he doesn't die in that 1v1 is super impressive. But it also ties into what was my fear coming into the series. That's the one edge you have. Like, Zeus still looks great, but also...
Doran's playing Aatrox.
Yeah, I know that. And also, who cares? Like,
and
there's just not a lot going right. And I don't really see a conceivable way for... If this was a Cloud or an Ocean Soul, then maybe, but it's Infernal.
Well, Trophy's going for a bit of a dive here. Owner in great position right now, but the turret is just going to fall down. Mega Adhesive to come through. No Black Shield was available, but Owner does have enough distance. He'll make it out.
I think that the problem with this draft for T1, I mean, besides the Renekton, is that the Morgana doesn't play to Owner's strengths at all. That's the first time he's been there for his team with these dives happening. He hasn't otherwise been able to match Peanut's tempo at all. There's no turret, so he doesn't end up making a big play or anything like that. But, you know, Morgana is one of those champions, not really a hands champion. Do you hit the binding? Do you press W? When you press R in the team fight, did it work? Are you not behind enough to where that actually means something? Because in this game, it absolutely does not. And Peanut has just been gapping him super hard here. He had 100% kill contribution for a majority of this game, and
yeah,
you can feel the brain at work here of Gen.G, how clearly they drafted this composition.
Yep, not to mention the fact that, I mean, this was clearly something that T1 had planned out, but it's also now Nah into Sylas as well, which is something that we hadn't even really thought about that much, because you see Nah for Zeus and you're like, oh, it makes sense, it's absolutely fine, but we can be critical of that pick as well, just a little bit. However, I don't even think it's going to be any kind of...
oh, it doesn't matter at all.
Like, it's just not relevant, even in the slightest.
What I can't wait for is Game 3, where Singed actually gets banned. They first pick Yuumi, and Lahens pulls out the Cassiopeia to show how good grounded is. Can't wait for that one.
It's the tour around grounded champions. There we go.
At the top of the day, we talked about Gen.G as an organization and how historically doomed their runs have been. How many second places they've had across this entire roster, not just the org. But we have also seen teams reach a point of singularity where there just doesn't seem to be any way to deal with everything they throw at you. Damwon has done this. T1 literally did this in spring, where You can say Ben X champion, but there's always more. And Gen G, to me, feels like they have reached that point. They're currently up soul points, 19 minutes in, 8K gold lead. What do you do?
Well, you think about game number 3.
That's
I
the
think,
answer.
What you're supposed to do here. Because, like you say, 8K gold lead is absurd. Infernal Chains are going to miss. Zeus is walking the wrong direction, though, as we can see. And Chovy's going to make his way down. This is already a very difficult game, made worse here for Zeus towards the bottom side of the map, trying to create whatever pressure he can. And Peanut, top of the morning to the bottom lane there, as he did say hello. And Ruler is just happily farming, past the mid-outer turret of T1.
And this is a draft for T1 that was very much flexed around the Renekton. That's why they were able to make this happen, but it was still so high variance, and Gen G still have that R5 counter pick, and you've already got the Silas into this. I think the draft is the big issue for T1. I think the potential was there, absolutely, but Owner was not, and Peanut made huge impact in the early game, and then Gen G just ran with it because this comp couldn't be more snowbally, and they forced those advantages, and I think the risk T1 took is unfortunate. They lose this game, but can they recover mentally after this one is my big question, even if the draft is better in game 3.
Gen G, the team that historically has let down many a fan at a crucial point in time, is currently on a trajectory to perfect game T1. They have lost nothing. No kills, no heralds, no dragons, no turrets.
Oh my goodness.
I know!
Yep. It's one of those things.
In a finals.
Yeah.
This is crazy. And you think about it in the context of Ruler never winning a domestic final somehow. Chovy, so many times being second place. So many times second place to Faker as well as Peanut. Possibly caught out. Goodbye. Perfect game as the Wallop will connect. And that is Gumyushi picking up a kill here for T1. And I said it was okay to write the eulogy. Maybe. No, it's probably still okay to write it. But
not the perfect game anymore. That's a death on the record books. You had to caster curse it, didn't you, Chronic?
Well, we just wanted to get as many games as possible, Wolf, okay? So we commentators, we have one power, and that is the ability to curse. And I think that it was the right thing.
I would like to apologize personally. Why did Peanut die? Because he greeted for chickens.
He greeted for chickens, and Zeus actually plays this perfectly with his Narbar. Drags him back, the rest of the team springs into action. Very quick reaction there, and unfortunately Peanut doesn't flash fast enough to escape. Greets for chickens, he's dead. And you know what, considering the game state, I'd probably rather save it. The flash regardless.
Ooh. Another ulti to come through here as World Ender comes down. There's the teleport in. Oh my goodness, that third Q is just insane. Chovy's going to make his way down as well. Everfrost is going to slow up Faker, and Doran still wants to kill his lane opposition, and Faker is going to kill him for it. Gen G, they do manage to trade back, but any even trade is actually much better for T1 right now.
I mean, they block any rotation down. They're going to push this further. They're going to grab a turret from this. And, I mean, that's not even Gore Drinker Aatrox. It's still just so difficult to kill.
That's the point, and Peanut can throw his ultimate there. I don't think Gen G care at all. They're going to get the soul coming up very soon. That's all they care about. And they now have a summoner's advantage, can just park Doran or Chovy in the side lane, apply pressure, and as long as they get this soul, you know, despite some people getting caught out twice in a row now, Doran had flash and stopwatch.
Well, there's the ulti. They catch him before he can even press the black shield button, and that is the jungler dead. That means free soul here for Gen G, and they'll make their way over and start that one now.
I mean, it doesn't get freer than this. And Baron is up. T1 don't have the damage to start it. They don't have vision control. You can see they're kind of trying to posture towards it, but it's a pipe dream at this point. Lahenz is going to push this wave, even though he's a support. He's trying to come over here and look for any sort of control on Naguma as he can. Like, he's just like, oh yeah, come over here. We will engage on you. We have ult.
Well, Zeus does have a Yuumi. Ruler is going to be able to dash his way out. He, of course, dodges a bunch of those auto attacks.
Doran
feeling pretty good. Doran possibly in trouble, and Gumyushi is going to take away his Shellfish. Zeus is rotating up as well. Final chapter comes down. Doran trying to turn it here where he can. He gets exhausted, though. There's the flash now. Great stopwatch there from Doran. Is it going to be enough to save him, though, is the question, and the answer is yes. Humble Dash does come through. Oh, my God. Faker just explodes. Peanut misses the ultimate, but it may not matter at all. He flashes for the Winter's Wrath as Gumyushi's over the wall. Decent binding is going to be there, but the Gnar is also dead, and now Gen G are looking for a Baron.
Ruler wasn't even there!
Oh. Well, this is a really rough game here for T1. But Owner is still looking to try and challenge for this Baron. Lehend is very, very low. Mega Adhesive does go down as Chovy's going to flash. There's the three-man now. He kills the Zeri so extremely quickly, and it's another kill to go over to Ruler as well. Genji will take the Baron, and they're going to now look to push in all of these lanes and win this game.
I was going to discuss it earlier, but the game seemed so off the rails, it never seemed like it was going to be relevant. But also, Gnar into Silas.
Yeah, I know. I had to mention it on the side, like it's 14 minutes or something.
It's just really, I mean, there's like so many issues here on so many levels. And Doran, because he has stopwatch here, is never in any danger. Rotation is quick. Teleport comes over for Chovy. And you're trapped here as T1. You have to chase, you have to find something, but you don't have damage. You have no items. You have no control in this game.
And throughout all of this, again, they're down a member. They're down a member, but they have so much gold. It's basically still a fight with advantage for them. So this play, you need to pull the trigger as Genji. You don't want to risk the steal coming through. And Chovy pulls the trigger. End of the game, I think, right there. Well, game ended a while ago, but this is truly the... I don't know how many nails go in a coffin, but like they're really overdoing it here.
Yeah, this is basically a coffin made out of nails now.
Yeah.
At this point in time.
High-powered nail gun firing him in.
No, I would 100% agree. Genji still need to cross the I's and dot the T's, as they say.
Look at the damage here. It is insane for Chovy this game.
Ruler's damage.
Yeah, Ruler just, I mean, he managed to get that one kill there before, but he hasn't necessarily been the important point.
He pressed R, that's what this champ does.
1.7k.
He's outranged, okay?
He's just there as an R button.
Well, speaking of R buttons, Peanut's going to throw his into the nether. Gumushi not going to get thrown back. Definitely important, but these Nexus turrets are going down. Owner immediately diving forward. Soul Shackles at the ready, but it doesn't really do anything. Chovy throws out the chains, doesn't quite connect them, is now T1. I mean, they've got a naked Nexus, you got to go for something, but the wallets are so heavy here from Genji. The explosion of damage as well, and there is the Nexus going down for the second time, and Genji have match point in the 2022 Summer Final.
Genji, for me, this game, this second game of League of Legends we just watched, what little we did see in that game.
I mean, we saw all of the game,
but Peanut was the guy, and he is the one player who does have titles, and we've talked about Ruler, we've talked about Lehend's on his Singed, we've spent a lot of time talking about these players getting their first title, potentially tonight, that they can win this third game, but Peanut was everywhere that game, and T1, they tried